Welcome to the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening.
Jack Carter adjusted his tie one last time before stepping into the Interstellar Relations Bureau's office, a small room filled with holographic maps of distant galaxies and bustling personnel. His supervisor, a stern yet fair man named Director Reynolds, gestured for him to sit down. "Jack, good to see you're punctual as ever," Reynolds said, offering a brief smile. "Today's agenda is quite different from your usual assignments. We're sending you to Xylarian." Jack's eyebrows shot up in surprise. "Xylarian? Isn't that the new contact on the edge of the Cygnus arm? I thought we were months away from any formal engagement." Reynolds nodded, his expression turning serious. "That was the initial plan. However, their queen has fast-track diplomacy. They're keen on technology exchange, and we need someone with your charm and tact." Jack felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "I'm honored, but why me for this? I'm not exactly senior staff." "Exactly." Reynolds leaned back, interlocking his fingers. "You're not bogged down by old tactics and rigid diplomacy. Xylarians value creativity and emotional intelligence in negotiations. Plus, you're approachable, something we need for a smooth first contact." Understanding dawned on Jack, and he nodded slowly. "What's the catch?" "No catch. Just the usual. Learn their customs, don't offend the royals, and secure the treaty." Reynolds chuckled. "Oh, and you'll need to attend their ceremonial gatherings. The queen has a daughter, Princess Alara. She'll be your primary contact. Winning her over will be crucial." "Win her over?" Jack echoed, slightly amused. "Figure of speech," Reynolds said quickly. "Make a good impression, build a rapport. Standard diplomatic stuff." Jack stood, extending his hand. "When do I leave?" "Transport leaves in 3 days. You'll meet your team tomorrow. They're experts in Xylarian culture. Learn fast, Jack." As Jack left the office, he pondered his new mission. Xylarian was a world renowned for its beauty and complex society. The idea of meeting an alien princess and navigating such an intricate culture was daunting but thrilling. The next day, Jack met his team: Dr. Lisa Hammond, a cultural anthropologist, and Michael Jung, a linguist. Both were experienced in their fields and would be instrumental in his preparation. "Xylarians are fascinating," Lisa began during their first briefing. "They communicate as much through movement as they do through words. Their dances and gestures can convey complex emotions and agreements." Michael nodded, tapping on his tablet to bring up a hologram of flowing script. "Their language is tonal, with nuances that can change meaning entirely based on pitch. I'll help you with the basics, but you'll pick up a lot through immersion." Jack listened intently, absorbing every detail. "And the princess? What should I know about her?" "She's known to be brilliant and quite progressive," Lisa added. "She's a major advocate for their tech advancements. Impress her with our respect for their culture and our advancements in tech." The next few days were a whirlwind of training sessions, language lessons, and cultural studies. Jack felt like he was back in university, cramming for finals. But the challenge was invigorating. As the departure grew close, he felt prepared, albeit anxious. Finally, aboard the transport ship to Xylarian, Jack reviewed his notes one last time. He was about to step into a world vastly different from his own, tasked with bridging humanity with a mysterious new ally. The weight of the mission settled on his shoulders, but so did the thrill of the unknown. As the stars blurred into lines of hyperspace travel, Jack couldn't help but wonder about Princess Alara and the stories she might hold. This wasn't just a mission. It was the beginning of a new chapter in human-alien relations. The Xylarian orbital platform was a masterpiece of alien architecture, blending organic forms with shimmering metal alloys that reflected the starlight. As Jack's shuttle docked, he peered out the viewport, captivated by the view. "Quite something, isn't it?" Michael Jung remarked, coming up beside him. "It's incredible," Jack agreed. "Nothing like the images back home." The shuttle door hissed open, and they were greeted by a Xylarian official. His height was imposing, nearly a foot taller than Jack, with iridescent skin that shimmered with each movement. "Welcome, Earth representatives. I am Nivox, your liaison during this visit. Please follow me." They trailed Nivox through corridors that echoed with the soft sounds of alien music, eventually entering a grand hall where the royal court awaited. The room was filled with Xylarians of high status, their vibrant colors a stark contrast to the more muted human attire. Jack's gaze was immediately drawn to Princess Alara. She stood gracefully among her peers, her attire a complex tapestry of light and fabric that seemed alive, subtly changing colors as she moved. Nivox introduced them. "This is Jack Carter, our esteemed guest from Earth." Alara's eyes met Jack's, her gaze penetrating yet curious. "Mr. Carter, we are pleased to host you. I hope our world meets your expectations." Jack bowed slightly, respecting their custom. "Princess Alara, it's an honor. Your world surpasses anything I could have imagined. I'm here not only to learn but to build a meaningful connection between our peoples." Alara smiled, her demeanor warming. "Then we shall begin with our welcoming ceremony tonight. You will join us, I hope." "I wouldn't miss it for the world," Jack replied. As Nivox led them away to prepare for the evening, Michael leaned over. "You handled that well." She seemed impressed. "I hope so," Jack muttered. "I've got to make every moment count." That evening, the welcoming ceremony was nothing short of spectacular. Jack, Michael, and Lisa were dressed in human formal wear, adapted slightly to respect Xylarian preferences for metallic and reflective materials. They mingled with the crowd, picking up snippets of conversations, the air buzzing with anticipation. Jack was approached by an elder Xylarian, who introduced himself as Counselor Verex. "Mr. Carter, I've heard much about your Earth. You are from, how do you say, New York?" "Yes, that's right," Jack confirmed, impressed by the counselor's interest. "It's one of our major cities, full of life and diversity, much like this gathering." "Indeed," Verex nodded. "We value diversity. It is, after all, the essence of a thriving society. Tell me, what do you find most different about our culture so far?" Jack thought for a moment before answering. "The harmony. Everything from your architecture to your social interactions seems so integrated. It's very different from the often chaotic nature of human cities." "Harmony is hard-won," Verex explained. "It requires understanding and patience, qualities we hope to see in all our allies." Jack's conversation with Verex was cut short as the ceremony began. Alara took to the stage, addressing the assembly with confidence and poise. Her speech highlighted the importance of new friendships and the exchange of knowledge. After the formalities, Alara approached Jack. "Mr. Carter, perhaps tomorrow you would join me for a tour of our capital? I would like to show you some of our advancements firsthand." Jack was quick to accept. "I'd be honored, Princess." As the evening wound down, Jack, Michael, and Lisa regrouped. "She's taking an interest, Jack." "That's a good sign," Lisa observed. "Yeah," Jack agreed, feeling a mix of relief and anticipation. "Tomorrow will be crucial. It's our chance to really see what Xylarian is about, and how we can truly connect our worlds." The first day had ended on a hopeful note, setting the stage for deeper engagement. As Jack returned to his quarters, he felt the weight of his mission. It was not just about treaties and alliances. It was about understanding, about crossing the vast divides between stars and souls. The next morning, under the soft, violet skies of Xylarian, Jack, Michael, and Lisa gathered in the courtyard of the guest quarters, each eager to start the day. The anticipation was palpable. Today, they would dive deeper into the Xylarian culture, guided by none other than Princess Alara herself. Jack adjusted his translator device as he waited. He had stayed up late, reviewing notes and common phrases in Xylarian, determined to make a good impression. "Remember," Michael whispered, handing Jack a small electronic pad, "keep this handy. It has key phrases and cultural notes. Just in case." "Thanks, I might need it," Jack replied, taking the pad. Just then, Princess Alara approached, her morning attire less formal but no less striking, reflecting the early light in a mesmerizing dance of colors. "Good morning, Mr. Carter, Dr. Hammond, Mr. Zhang." Alara greeted them with a nod. "I hope you found your accommodations comfortable." "Very much so, Princess," Lisa responded. "We're grateful for your hospitality." Alara smiled. "Today, I thought we'd begin with a visit to our central library. We pride ourselves on our records and technological manuscripts. I believe it will give you a better understanding of our advancements and cultural heritage. As they walked, Jack took the opportunity to engage Alara in conversation. Princess, I've been trying to learn your language. I hope to speak it more fluently soon, Jack said, practicing one of the phrases he had memorized. Alara looked pleasantly surprised. Your pronunciation is commendable, Mr. Carter. Language is the gateway to understanding a people's soul. Wouldn't you agree? I couldn't agree more, Jack replied. The library was a towering structure of crystal and light, archives stretching up into the high dome. Alara guided them through sections dedicated to Xylarian history, science, and, notably, diplomacy. Your people have achieved so much. It's incredible, Jack remarked, scanning a digital manuscript that detailed Xylarian engineering marvels. We have had many cycles to refine our knowledge, Alara explained. What about Earth? How do your libraries compare? We have some impressive ones too, Jack said. Though I suspect we could learn a lot from the way you archive and access information. Alara nodded, clearly pleased. Perhaps that could be a point of exchange between our people. As the morning progressed, they visited a nearby research facility. Alara introduced them to several Xylarian scientists who were experimenting with sustainable energy sources. This is Dr. Kellen. Alara introduced a Xylarian researcher. He's leading our efforts in quantum fusion. Michael, fascinated, stepped forward. Quantum fusion? We have theorists on Earth working on similar concepts. Maybe we could arrange a knowledge exchange? Dr. Kellen exchanged a look with Alara, who nodded. That sounds most advantageous. I look forward to such an exchange. The discussions grew more technical, and Jack was impressed with Michael's ability to keep up, translating complex scientific concepts into layman's terms when necessary. As they left the facility, Jack couldn't help but feel a surge of pride in his team's adaptability and the doors that were opening between their two worlds. Princess Alara, thank you for such an insightful day, Jack said as they walked back. I hope that in the coming days, we can explore more ways to collaborate closely. Alara smiled warmly. I, too, am hopeful, Mr. Carter. Let's continue this tomorrow. There's much more I wish to show you. As they parted ways for the evening, Jack felt a genuine connection forming, not just with Alara, but with Xylarian as a whole. He looked over to Lisa and Michael, who were discussing the day's learnings animatedly. Good work today, both of you, Jack said. We're making progress. Thanks to your lead, Lisa replied. Let's keep the momentum going. That night, as Jack reviewed his notes and prepared for the next day, he was struck by the potential of their mission. It wasn't just about securing a treaty. It was about building a bridge, one conversation, one shared discovery at a time. The following day, under the gentle glow of Xylar's two suns, Jack prepared for an unprecedented event, his first informal outing with Princess Alara. His team had brainstormed the perfect cultural exchange, a private tour of the Xylarian spacecraft facility followed by a simulated flight around the Xylar rings, a significant Xylarian experience. Jack was adjusting his translator when Michael approached him, a mischievous grin playing on his face. Ready to make history, Jack? Jack chuckled, straightening his jacket. As ready as I'll ever be. Do you think she'll appreciate the gesture? Absolutely, Michael assured him. Xylarians cherish their celestial traditions. Viewing the rings is considered a profound experience. It shows you value their heritage. As they arrived at the spacecraft facility, Alara greeted them with a bright smile, her attire subtly shimmering in the sunlight. Mr. Carter, Michael, I'm delighted to see you both. I'm looking forward to today's adventure. Thank you, Princess, Jack replied. We thought the Rings of Xylar would be a perfect way to appreciate Xylarian achievements in space exploration. Alara nodded appreciatively. A thoughtful choice. Shall we? Inside the facility, they were greeted by Dr. Phoenix, the chief engineer, who was to guide them through the spacecraft hangar. The hangar housed several models of Xylarian ships, each designed for different types of missions. Dr. Phoenix, a tall Xylarian with keen eyes, shook their hands. Welcome. Let me show you our latest Explorer-class vessel. It's equipped for deep space missions and has enhanced capabilities for celestial navigation. As they toured, Jack noticed Alara's enthusiasm for each technical explanation. You have a deep interest in space technology, he commented. Yes, the cosmos has always fascinated me, Alara shared. It's a reminder of how vast and mysterious the universe is. Their tour concluded at the simulation bay. Dr. Phoenix invited them into a simulator that replicated the experience of flying through Xyler's rings. Ready for an adventure? Alara asked Jack, a twinkle of excitement in her eyes. Lead the way, Princess, Jack responded, both anxious and exhilarated. The simulator doors sealed, and the room darkened. Stars and the brilliant rings of Xyler illuminated the panoramic screen in front of them. The simulation began, and the vessel seemed to soar into space, the rings drawing closer until they enveloped the screen in a dazzling display of colors and light. It's beautiful, Jack murmured, genuinely awestruck. Alara nodded, her face lit by the light of the simulation. It's one of my favorite sights. The rings are made of ice and rock, but to us, they symbolize the eternal flow of life and energy. Their hands brushed as the simulated ship moved through the rings, and Jack felt a spark of connection. He took a chance and gently took her hand. Alara did not pull away. Instead, she looked at him, her expression softening. This is more than I hoped for, Jack confessed, his voice low. Thank you for sharing this with me. Alara squeezed his hand slightly. I'm glad you appreciate it. These moments are what make interstellar relations more than just treaties and agreements. They're about understanding and connection. As the simulation ended and the lights came up, they stood in silence, still holding hands. Finally, Alara broke the silence. Shall we head back? Yes, let's, Jack agreed, reluctant to end the day but feeling a sense of accomplishment. On the way back, Michael nudged Jack with a knowing smile. Well done, Jack. You're not just making diplomatic strides but personal ones too. Jack smiled, feeling hopeful. Today had not only bridged a gap between their worlds, but had also deepened his bond with Alara in a way he had not anticipated. As they said their goodbyes, Jack felt a mix of anticipation and contentment. The mission was evolving, and so were they, together. Jack woke up to another day on Xylarian with a growing sense of belonging. Today, he and Alara had planned a day in the cultural heart of the capital, a place where Xylarian history and human curiosity would intertwine. As Jack joined Michael for breakfast, he couldn't help but share his excitement. I think we're really getting somewhere, Michael.
Not just with the mission, but with understanding their culture.
Michael, ever the pragmatist, nodded as he sipped his coffee. It's good to see progress on both fronts. Just remember, the better we understand them, the smoother our negotiations will be. Alara arrived, looking radiant in a traditional Xylarian garment that gracefully flowed as she moved. Good morning, Jack, Michael. Today, I'd like to show you some of our sacred sites and cultural landmarks. Are you ready for a day of history and art? We couldn't be more prepared, Jack replied with a smile, noticing how Alara's presence seemed to brighten the room. Their first stop was the Xylarian Museum of History and Innovation, a sprawling complex surrounded by reflective pools that shimmered under Xyler's twin suns. As they walked through the exhibits, Alara pointed out ancient artifacts and shared stories of Xylarian's past, tales of discovery, innovation, and the unbreakable spirit of her people. Here, she gestured towards an ancient astronomical tool, is one of the first devices used by our ancestors to map the stars. Jack was fascinated. It's incredible to think about how this helped shape Xylarian society. Yes, and here, Alara led them to another exhibit, is the original treaty that united our planet's two continents. Diplomacy has always been a cornerstone of our civilization. Their conversation was rich with comparisons and contrasts to Earth's own history, making Jack appreciate the depth of their shared diplomatic mission. The next destination was a public square where a live cultural performance was about to start. Performers in vibrant, elaborate costumes took the stage, enacting a traditional Xylarian dance that symbolized the planetary dance of celestial bodies. Michael, who had been quietly observing, leaned over to Jack. Notice the movements, Jack. Every gesture has meaning, much like their spoken language. Jack nodded, deeply engrossed in the performance. As the dance concluded, the crowd erupted in applause, and Alara clapped enthusiastically. These dances tell stories, convey emotions, and even settle disputes. They're an essential part of our cultural dialogue. As the afternoon progressed, they visited a local artist's workshop where traditional Xylarian crafts were made. The artist, a middle-aged Xylarian named Torex, welcomed them warmly. "Ah, Princess Alara, and guests from Earth, welcome," Torex exclaimed, his workshop a kaleidoscope of colors from the materials scattered around. Alara introduced Jack and Michael, and Torex offered them a quick workshop on the art of crafting Xylarian silks. Jack found himself sitting at a loom, guided by Torex's expert hands. "Like this, yes, you're getting it," Torex encouraged as Jack attempted to mimic the traditional weaving techniques. Jack laughed, fumbling slightly but enjoying the process. "I have a new appreciation for your crafts, Torex. This requires incredible skill," Torex grinned, "and patience and practice, qualities that are valuable everywhere, yes?" As the day ended, Alara, Jack, and Michael shared a meal at a nearby eatery, discussing everything they had learned. Alara seemed pleased with Jack's genuine interest. "I hope today has given you a deeper insight into who we are," she said. "It has, and I hope to share more of our human culture with you too," Jack replied, eager to reciprocate. As they returned to their quarters, Jack felt a profound connection not only to Alara but to Xylarian itself. The day had been an illuminating journey through Xylar's heart and soul, paving the way for stronger bonds and mutual understanding. As Jack's understanding of Xylarian culture deepened, so did his relationship with Princess Alara. However, societal pressures soon began to surface, testing the strength of their growing bond. The Xylarian royal court was intrigued by the human diplomat's efforts, but some members were skeptical of his intentions and his rapidly developing closeness with the princess. One morning, as Jack and Michael discussed their strategy in the courtyard, they were approached by one of Alara's advisors, a dignified elder named Siren. "Mr. Carter, Mr. Zhang," Siren greeted them with a formal nod. "Your presence here has been most enlightening, but there are concerns about the rapid nature of your association with Princess Alara." Jack exchanged a quick glance with Michael, who gave a slight shrug, signaling him to handle it delicately. "I assure you, Siren, our intentions are honorable. The princess and I share a mutual interest in fostering understanding and cooperation between our peoples." Siren's gaze was piercing. "Understanding is one thing, Mr. Carter, but a deeper alliance requires a test of commitment. It is tradition here for suitors of high standing to undertake the gauntlet of virtues. It is a series of challenges that test one's strength, wisdom, and integrity." Jack was taken aback by the mention of the word suitor, but he recognized the importance of respecting their customs. "If that is what it takes to prove my sincerity, I am prepared to undertake these challenges." Siren nodded, seemingly satisfied. "Very well. The gauntlet will commence tomorrow at dawn. Prepare yourself." After Siren left, Michael clapped Jack on the back. "Looks like you've got a big day ahead. Better sharpen up on everything, from Xylarian ethics to physical endurance." Jack chuckled nervously. "I wasn't expecting to prove myself this way, but if it helps our mission, I'll give it my best shot." The next day, Jack stood at the ceremonial grounds, dressed in traditional Xylarian attire provided by Alara, who came to wish him luck. "Jack, you don't have to do this," she said, concern evident in her tone. "I want to." Alara, Jack reassured her. "Not just for our mission, but to show you and your people my commitment." The first challenge was a test of wisdom. Jack was presented with several moral quandaries by the Xylarian elders, each requiring a delicate balance of diplomacy and ethics. With careful thought and the insights he'd gained from his time on Xylarian, Jack navigated the questions with a respect that earned nods of approval from the watching court. The second challenge tested his physical endurance. Jack was to scale a wall using traditional climbing methods, symbolizing the overcoming of obstacles in diplomatic pursuits. His training on Earth had prepared him well, and although the climb was grueling, he reached the top, his breath heavy but his spirit undeterred. Finally, the third challenge was a test of integrity. Jack was given a scenario where he had to choose between a seemingly profitable short-term gain for Earth and a long-term benefit for Xylarian. Jack chose the latter, demonstrating his genuine commitment to a fair and mutual partnership. As he completed the challenges, Alara's smile told him all he needed to know. He had not only passed the gauntlet, but had also won deeper respect from those who doubted him. Later, as they walked through the royal gardens, Alara linked her arm with his. "You have surprised many today, Jack. Perhaps even yourself." Jack smiled, feeling the day's weight lift slightly. "Perhaps. But one thing is certain. It's easier to face challenges when you have someone to inspire you." As the Xylar sun set, casting a golden light over the gardens, Jack felt a sense of accomplishment and optimism. The trials had brought him closer to Alara and had shown everyone that his intentions were as steadfast as the enduring stones of Xylar itself. After Jack's successful completion of the Gauntlet of Virtues, the atmosphere among the Xylarians seemed to shift. Whispers of respect and curiosity replaced the earlier murmurs of doubt. With this newfound acceptance, Alara proposed that Jack take part in the Ritual of Hearts, a celebrated Xylarian tradition meant to deepen bonds and foster unity. On the eve of the ritual, Jack and Michael sat in the serene gardens of the palace, going over the final details. "Remember, the Ritual of Hearts is more about empathy and connection than any physical test," Michael advised, looking over the notes Lisa had compiled from her cultural research. "It's about sharing and understanding each other's values and visions." Jack nodded thoughtfully. "It's like tying our missions together, not just aligning our strategies but our hopes for the future." "Exactly," Michael agreed. "It's also a public affirmation of your bond with the princess and, symbolically, with all of Xylarian." The morning of the ritual, Jack stood beside Alara in the Grand Hall, an awe-inspiring room where the walls themselves seemed to pulse with the history of her people. The hall was filled with citizens and dignitaries, all gathered to witness the ceremony. Alara, dressed in a ceremonial robe that shimmered with the hues of the Xylar sky at dawn, turned to Jack with a reassuring smile. "Today, we share our spirits, Jack. I'm honored to do this with you." Jack, dressed similarly in Xylarian garb, responded, "The honor is mine, Alara. Let's show them how strong our bond is." The ritual began with an ancient Xylarian song, the haunting melody filling the room as an elder stepped forward. He held a crystal that glowed softly, symbolizing the light of understanding and connection. "Jack Carter of Earth and Princess Alara of Xylarian, step forward," the elder announced. As they stepped toward him, the elder continued, "This crystal will absorb and echo your commitment to each other and to the unity of your peoples. Hold it together and speak your truths." Alara took Jack's hand, and together, they held the crystal. Alara spoke first, her voice clear and strong. "I speak for Xylarian when I say we are committed to learning from and with Earth. We vow to share our knowledge, protect our peoples, and build a future based on mutual respect and understanding." Jack felt the weight of her words, and when it was his turn, he spoke from the heart. "And I speak for Earth when I promise to honor and respect the traditions and wisdom of Xylarian. We will strive side by side, learning and growing together, facing any challenges as one." The crystal between their hands glowed brighter with their spoken vows, casting a radiant light that filled the hall. The crowd watched in silent reverence, moved by the sincerity and strength of the bond being formed. As the ceremony concluded, the elder took the crystal and held it up, showing the brilliance of its light. "See how the light of unity shines forth. Let this be a beacon to all that Jack and Alara have pledged here today." The applause that followed was thunderous, echoing through the grand hall and marking the success of the ritual. Jack and Alara's smiles mirrored each other's, proud, relieved, and filled with anticipation for the future. Later, as they walked through the palace grounds, Jack said to Alara, "Today felt like a turning point." "It was," Alara agreed. "And there will be more challenges ahead, but also more opportunities to prove how much stronger we are together." Their shared journey was just beginning, but as Xylarian's moons rose in the evening sky, Jack felt a profound connection to the planet and its princess, a connection that promised new horizons for both their worlds. The days following the Ritual of Hearts saw Jack and Alara working closer than ever, their joint efforts smoothing the path toward finalizing the treaty. The successful ceremony had not only solidified their personal bond, but also fortified the alliance between Earth and Xylarian. Now, as they sat in the treaty room with their respective teams, they were on the cusp of achieving what they had set out to do. Jack and Alara, along with Michael and Siren, Alara's trusted advisor, were reviewing the last of the documents that would seal the technology exchange and cooperative programs between their planets. The room buzzed with a subdued excitement, underscored by the weight of responsibility. Michael leaned over to Jack, whispering, "This is it, huh? After all this, it looks like we're finally here." Jack nodded, his focus on the papers in front of him. "Yeah, it's almost done. Just need to make sure everything is in order." Alara looked up from her documents, her expression thoughtful. "Jack, Michael, Siren, I believe we've addressed all concerns. Shall we proceed with the signing?" Siren, who had been meticulously going through each clause, gave a satisfied nod. "Yes, Princess. It appears everything is in order. We are ready to move forward." As they each took up a stylus, Jack felt a sense of achievement wash over him. They signed the documents with ceremonial gravity, each signature a testament to their dedication and hard work. When the last signature was placed, the room erupted into gentle applause. Alara smiled warmly at Jack. "We've done something remarkable, Jack. Thank you for everything. It's been an honor, Alara." "Thank you for trusting me, for guiding us through this," Jack replied, his voice filled with genuine appreciation. With the official proceedings behind them, Alara invited Jack and his team to join her for a private celebration under the stars. The Xylarian night was breathtaking, the sky a tapestry of glistening lights that made the human night sky seem dim by comparison. As they stood together on the balcony of the palace, Alara pointed out constellations native to Xylarian, while Jack shared tales of Earth's astronomers and their ancient stargazing. "This makes me think about the future," Alara said, her gaze still fixed on the heavens. "About all the possibilities now open to us." Jack followed her gaze, feeling the same sense of wonder. "There's a lot we can achieve together. Tonight is just the beginning." Michael, who had been quietly observing the skies with a handheld telescope, joined the conversation. "You know, looking at the stars like this, it really puts things into perspective. We're not just forming alliances. We're making history." "Yes, and making friends," Jack added, looking from Michael to Alara with a grateful smile. Alara laughed softly. "Yes, making friends among the stars." As the celebration continued, the group shared stories, laughter, and plans for future collaborations. The night deepened around them, but the warmth of their camaraderie and the light from 1 billion stars kept the darkness at bay. Eventually, as the party wound down, Jack and Alara found themselves alone, looking out over the illuminated city below. "Today was a good day," Jack said quietly. "The best kind," Alara agreed. "And there will be more to come, Jack." "Of that I am certain." Jack nodded, his heart full. "I look forward to it, Alara. To all of it." The treaty had been signed, their worlds united not just by documents and promises, but by a shared vision of the future. A future they would explore together as allies, as friends, and as two civilizations forever changed by their newfound bond.